God said and I'm going to say all possibilities on live streams like this. All possibilities told you search for the practice. When you search for the money, search for the word, you're going to get lost in another man's mind. When you search for the practice, you're going to actually find where that spirit was at to create that mentality, to create that mind. Let me repeat. Now I'm transmuting. God said, when you search for the history, search for the word, you're only going to get lost and find somebody's mind. And we know the mind could play tricks on you. So why give more credence to another person's mind when you know just as well they got a mind just like you? But God said, if you search for the practice, you know what space that spirit was in to create that state of awareness, to create that mind. And therefore, whether your mind have the ability to develop their same thoughts or not, you're able to observe the actions and the outcome of that thought anyway, whether you had the ability to do it or not. So once you do it in God's way, you will be able to see that very same energy that could be created in that space if it's still lingering around or something that's not here anymore. And then when God show you how to separate from the lights, your body and the mind, and know how to calculate real spirituality, real spiritual science, you're able to track energies. And then when you track that energy from 4,000 years ago, that still got replicas of energies, even if you're born in today's time, boom, you're able to search and see where it's being played out. And then when you see it's being played out, you can't find a specific bloodline. You can't find a specific race. And then you do see a group of individuals that might skin and like try to appear like it could be a race, but then you know they're just sheep after the fact, just like the KKK and just like the quote unquote black people. What you will start to be able to see is, oh, this is a practice. Then you go find the group that's practicing it. Then once you go find a group that's practicing it, it leads you to the same people that y'all actually complaining about now, just not knowing how to complain about them. Because you don't know what they're actually doing, and you're using how they got you in the first place to call themselves Jews to go against them. The whole purpose for you to be Malcolm X, to the whole purpose for you to think you're doing something for a community, the whole purpose for there to be a celebrity and to use their influence to influence other to follow a narrative. The people who engineered that concept is the people who calling themselves Jews. You get it? And this is an early practice way back in the day. So for an example, this is why I always use Magic Johnson. Let's say back in the day before we called each other Jews and we're a faction of the government, right? So at this time, before we even have a hard percentage level of education, religion, and business, it was purely politics and religion. It was purely politics and religion. So boom. Now, let's say we're trying to change. We don't want to hang people upside down anymore. Then we're creating golems to make rulers that's in our shit feel guilty about themselves from even doing that. That's like allegories like Pontius Pilate and shit, right? So look, say the sheep. We know that if we was just to give them, let's call it $1 million right now, maybe gold or whatever. If we give them any form of power, they won't do nothing but kill themselves anyway. But we tired of coming to kill all these people because they ain't got no way to think. So we got to structure their character. So during the teachings of when they're analyzing what we would call Leo right now, this is where they're developing a whole bunch of ideas from okay, let's create something of a character. And since we got this wealth in the world, we'll give crumbs to the sheep, but we'll pick certain sheep that think a certain way with this teaching. At this time, this will be Leo. Esoteric astrology, not necessarily being born at that time, but having the knowledge of the hieroglyphics and how we play out virtues anyway. Then later on down the line, it came into a subsidiary practice called astrology. But this is the true aspect. You get it? So now we'll be like, okay, we can fashion as long as this person think right from our perspective. We'll pick them. That'll be God's chosen people, aka the only way they know what God wants them to do is through us. So it's like a Mesopotamian type of concept. So that we'll choose that person, give them crumbs amongst their sheep. The sheep, the low-hanging fruit, going to look at this person like they did something wonderful. Now, we're going to fashion this person in the way how we want this person to act for anyone to think that they have some form of power to be on our world stage. So they created a stage. This is where you get the words wrestling from. This is where you get the words platforming, Shakespeare. This is where you get the word like anything dealing with choreographic, charismatic, anything dealing with platforming and broadcasting. This is the Jews came up with that before they called them Jews. It's just a fashion of the government at this time. See what I'm saying? Now look, check it out. Now they like this. Boom. All right, we're gonna pick one, and then therefore everyone who come after them, that's low-hanging fruit, they still could be governed in the mind to know what boundaries to cross by us using this person as an example. Now look, they got real sticky with it after a while due to the fact of, certain individuals doing these things and trying to make their own community, become their own guilders, become their own Jew, they don't like that. How you gonna use the shit that they gave you for you to feel like you somebody, but you're not pushing their sign and symbol anymore? You're not pushing their images anymore and things of that nature. So this came with the creation of plagues and creating fake stories for them on their broadcasting, so you wouldn't do this and it would actually happen to you. You will actually get put in a gas chamber. See what I'm saying? So for the most part, here we get role playing. Pardon me. Here's where we get role playing. So they, back in the day, in the medieval times, will go as far as JFK and a motherfucker. This is where Jesuits get the concept of sniping motherfuckers, but not doing it as much as now. Where they put somebody in a position knowing that all the people is going to follow that person, but the moment this person have an idea that's separate than the Jewish thought, before we call it Jewish, right, and you're not pushing the sign and symbol, the moment that they kill you too, and then broadcast it on the news like it was this person's fault and they got killed by their own sheep due to the fact of the money and the crumbs that they plant and infiltrate as a way of them saying that they can, while still at the same time they probably doing all the the trigger pulling. So for the most part, this where when celebrities started, before they were celebrities, they were celebrated blood cells. They was all looking at us like Israelite blood cells, the lights under the sun and moon stars. And if you was born in that Easter over there, this was before we called ourselves human. We called ourselves Israelite. All right, now look. Has nothing to do with race. So I'll let you know, the rulers who ruling now was ruling back then. You getting into an argument of race, and that's wasting time. You don't even understand what's being practiced. And if you understand what's being practiced, you're cracking it ass. Great grandma don't know nothing of no occult practices. So you trying to say somebody was in rulership without understanding magical thinking and occult practices, you lost in words at that point. You lost in race bait at that point. Like, you are one of the reasons that they created the term anti-Shemite. Because it's a concept of sham, where they set it up, shot that from Josephus, which is a micro-subsidiary attribute of Abraham, taking over 3 geographical locations. Then they went to go take her three more with 3 teachings: Josephus, Ham, and Shem. You know what I'm saying? But before we get into all that, look, check this out, right? So, Abraham is a Jewish thought, right? Created as a way of life. Abraham is an allegory they anthropomorphize to help you understand their morals and principles, and it's also a part of the government to help the government rule the world. During these times, right? During these times, astrology and signs and symbols was the school of thought to be prestigious in any form of government. And the group of Jews, before they call it, aka philosophers, came up with a virtue during the fixated portion of the summer solstice. And since they were deifying each transition of the sun, whatever they called it when it was in Leo was their god at that time, right? Because when they start to deify the idea that made them look at a character a certain way, then that's how they start to give praise to other things on top of that, right? Now look, so that's what they called the god at that time. That became the idea mythoform for the tribe of Judah, aka setting the stage for plagues and slaves who don't know how to use their own brain, aka the Jew created the concept of the stage celebrity as a government tactic so the rulers would stop hanging people upside down on crosses, aka a better way of dealing with the sheep and the low-hanging fruit. So since they came up with a way up in the world for all to live up under, this is how you produce a product. So if you could be a Galileo, see, that's why I go so hard, but people don't shout me out. People want to act like they don't see me and stuff like that, but I'm actually doing things the ancient way. Only thing you're going to hear from these people is regurgitation. You're not going to hear them. You're going to hear them following Galileo. You're going to hear them following any science, any electricity, anything that come out. And then they're going to look at me like I'm not doing something right, or I'm not respected because I'm not a part of the low-hanging fruit. And they're not going to look at themselves like they're low-hanging fruit because they got the slave mind. And that goes for Kemet individuals, Pan-Africans, Christians, New Agers, Truth Seekers, conscious community. Anytime you up under a subsidiary, you are the makeup of what the Jews have created 4,000 years ago on being a puppet to influence masses or small masses for your relative perspective. You see what I'm saying? So you're not coming up with anything new being a part of the Bole, or you're not coming up with anything new saying that you're trying to do something for the community. That's all. As soon as you come out, you're being a fake Mason and a fake Jew. And if you come out your mouth and say you are the real Jew, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about at that point, using their tactics in the first place as a teaching and not doing it right. Because the first community you try to build is Islam. First community you try to build is Pan-Africanism. First community you try to... So y'all are low-hanging fruit without understanding how to build something for one for all. So their concept for one for all is like the Abrahamic religion. You being a Christian or Catholic, or y'all just fall under a one all something that a group of men and women came up with. So they're a little closer than God than you if you're going on their context of how they taught you what it means to receive something from God. This is why none of y'all practices work. And y'all all just lead to needing liberation and shit like that, because y'all don't even know what the fuck y'all even talking about. Like, a lot of y'all have no business even being into this kind of shit. And this is the people like the internet, like praise. Thousands of views, subscribers, live streams, and shit like that. A bunch of people who don't know shit. And then they look at my channel or look at me like I'm the one who don't, I'm more intelligent than all of these individuals. All you're going to hear from everybody is over-exaggeration. And it's going to be over-exaggeration of some shit you can study for yourself. It ain't going to be nothing that you ain't like, that's because that's how I be seeing it. But I know a lot of y'all don't be studied. But when I come across a lot of channels, all I hear is a lot of shit I came across already in my studies. It just over-exaggerated. And then that's what put me in my spirits that I be in all the time. Because these people will come up and like start to speak like they're intelligent or something like that. And then me being Uriel, sometimes I catch certain vibes that if these individuals was to come across my channel, they'll look at me a certain way. And ain't no way in hell a person like this, like these dumbass humans is even intelligent. I don't give a fuck how old they is, what the fuck they be telling y'all and shit like that. This whole world dumb as fuck. Everybody masters that over exaggerations. It's a whole bunch of people talking about shit that you could come across. Nobody got no studies that you can't come across. So don't ever believe that. So if you study, everything you hear out of other people's mouth is going to be some shit you came across. But the only thing is you're hearing an over exaggeration of it. Shout out to Kales. Matt Dang. You're hearing an over T Melody. You're hearing an over exaggeration of it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's own interpretation of it. So you don't never hear it as is, like a person just give it to you. Like how I just give it to y'all. That's why I don't be respected. Because when you do something God's way, you make it back simple. It don't be no reason to argue for it anymore. Once I told you the light don't take no shape, ain't no reason for you to argue it no more. You can see that every day in life. So anybody still arguing for it, it's for a form of biasness. So that's how you see with these Kemet people and these Pan-African and these Christians. They got enough information to take ears to see and eyes to hear to know that they in some bullshit. So the moment that they keep talking about it or keep being with their esoteric hands open and shit like that, that lets you know they're low-hanging fruit. They don't want to change. Ain't no Jewish person gonna get them no liberation either. These people just want to get it how they live. Be sheep-minded. That's it. They don't nobody want, these individuals don't want to change. These people dumb as hell. They just want to argue. That's it. They just want to argue. That's it. So I'm giving it to y'all straight what a Jew is. You still gonna have people on the internet, and a lot of these people watch me. You still gonna have them on the internet talking about they real Jews. You still gonna have these people talking about it's a real fleshly tribe. You gonna still have them talking about it like it ain't got nothing to do with astrology because they lost in zeitgeist version of astrology or some dumbass shit. They don't understand esoteric astrology. They don't understand occultness and shit like that. So it's retarded at this point. Why save a dumbass world like that? Where the people who thinking you should respect them in some type of way are dumb, deaf, and blind. And they're just using what the Jews gave them for you to think that you need to respect them. Whether it's a form of a money, a flag, a community, a circumstance. But you can't build no community if you don't have a bias. And they orchestrated the biasness concept itself. So that's why the NOI be getting so ahead. Because they act like it so much. See what I'm saying? But it ain't like they gonna have no real power. You just gonna get crumbs, motherfucker. The Nation of Islam is the first puppets. The first sheep is the Arabs. The first puppets is the Nation of Islam and all that worship. So y'all the first puppets. Everything y'all do, even to the 6-point star, y'all play out the image of what the Jews constructed for y'all to show how we supposed to live in the world as one. You might be Nation of Islam and think, well, that don't sound bad. That's a good thing. But if I'm explaining to you what a Jew is, okay, now you can separate from your biasness now. But now you also understand why you don't got no power too. Because you don't got no product. You just the billboard for a product. And the product is the Jewish product. AKA you are the mascot. You're the mascot. Shakespeare ain't a real person. Shakespeare is the mascot, someone's intellectual property about what that Mason wanted to convey. You get it? Jesus is a mascot. They created the concept of mascots. And the reason the mascot is not like talked and spit on right now, because they changed the word. Just like the Lucifer. Instead of the word pride, it's appreciate. Instead of the word now, so instead of goddamn it, that is celebrity. Instead of mascot, it's the term celebrity. Celebrated blood cell. So the Jews praise on you, and they would sacrifice you on their celebration dates, on their holy days, and shit like that. Soon as you need to be used as a narrative. Let's say they got you. Let's say you wanted to get into one of the business, entertainment, education, religion, and politics. Their world. They run the entertainment one, really. The Jews don't really run like politics like that. They got influence. But they run the entertainment. But entertainment can influence politics. You see what I'm saying? So that's why the politician puppets a lot of times still give credence. But the politicians ain't nothing but entertainers. Some of the real politicians ain't even the people, y'all, that's really the politician. Like the president, Trump and them, that's not the politician. So they like a puppet. So they're part of the entertainment factor, which is why Trump is so popular. And Bush was so popular. And Clinton was so popular. Because they could be entertainers and be false profiters of politicians, while the real politicians and the UN really get things together and shit like that. This is why there's a such thing as the electoral vote, where your vote don't necessarily matter. If it's like 5 local individuals, whoever voted for the 5 local individuals, their vote is going to be the only one that matter when they send it into another hall. And then that other hall is going to look at that one vote as a collection of that whole city. And then if that one hall got a collection of cities with just one people that the people picked out of 5, right? Then this creates the electoral vote, where, goddamn it, none of y'all votes actually matter, because everybody locally had to vote for 1 through 5 local motherfuckers. Then once one person get elected, he's amongst about 12 different people from all the city through the state vote. And through the state vote, that's when they come up with the electoral. So let's say on one side of the state, everybody voted for this kind of idea. On the other side of the state, it don't matter who they voted for locally and what mayor they voted for them to send their shit in to be sized up for the electoral vote. The electoral vote is going to be based on the lot side of a collection of people on that one side of the state to speak for the whole state in general. You get it? This is why your vote don't matter. That's why your vote don't matter.